in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome in, everybody, to a Thirsty Thursday here in No Man's Land. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery on what seems to be a very fun yet very cold day of sports talk for an hour straight. And to help us start out this show is one of our favorite guests that joins us every single week. It's one Mr. RJ White from Sportsline.com. RJ, how you doing today, man?
Doing great. How are you?
We're doing fantastic, I would say. Last time we talked to you, a lot of things were different in the NFL. Trade deadline comes around. Kind of just talk about what some of the biggest trades were that happened and why it doesn't really live up to last year's name, I would say.
Yeah, not a lot of skill position players on the move, so you don't get like the big old Christian McCaffrey, blinking light that's going to have a huge impact. I think a lot of people are on the Chase Young to the 49ers bandwagon. Interesting that Washington did not get as big a price for Chase Young as Montez Sweat. It kind of tells you that the league values Montez Sweat as a more complete player. And it was interesting that the Bears were the team to give it up for Montez Sweat because they're obviously not making a playoff push now. I think that's the price they felt they needed to pay to get him in the building and get signed to an extension, rather than have to compete with teams on the open market later this year in the offseason. So that was the interesting one. I think the one that's the most impactful for the league is going to be that Josh Dobbs to the Vikings deal. Was interested to see after the Kirk Cousins injury where they would look. Would they, because of Kirk Cousins' contract situation, would they go out and try to get a guy like Trey Lance that might be their starter moving forward into the future, or maybe a veteran that might be the starter next year as well, a guy like a Jameis Winston or in the Andy Dalton, in that vein, Sam Darnold, and they didn't. They went out and got the journeyman quarterback that comes in and plugs a hole on 2 weeks' notice for the going to be now the third time in a row here with this Minnesota team. I think it's smart to do that because the NFC is wide open. We feel like there's going to be two playoff teams in the NFC East, two playoff teams in the NFC West between the Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers, Seahawks. But that last wild card is wide open, and there's no reason the Vikings can't go out and win it if Dobbs can come out and be the quarterback that, frankly, he's been in both of those stops. He's made those teams competitive, even though the surrounding situation wasn't nearly as good as the situation in Minnesota right now. So it'll be interesting if we look back on this and the Vikings finish 10-7 and make the playoffs and say, well, that was a pretty shrewd move for them to go out and get Dobbs.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at Josh Dobbs and what he's done on the season, he's got over 1,500 yards. On top of that, he's got 8 touchdowns, also 5 interceptions. I mean, he's shown just enough to be a quarterback that is at least a little bit reliable at the starting position, a sort of veteran that can really get you through the toughest of times. I kind of could equate him to a little bit of a Jacoby Brissett in a way for last year's Browns team. But, I mean, it's hard to say. This team is already struggling with a Kirk Cousins who's looked at times as one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Is it just going to be able to follow that with the Josh Dobbs put in there?
Well, he has a great offensive line ahead of him, a worse offensive line because for some reason, even though they seem to be going for it with Josh Dobbs, they traded a very good interior lineman in Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars. So I know they have good depth there, but still, because of how well he was playing, it was interesting to see them make that move anyway. But he has a good offensive line better than he had in those last 2 stops. He has great, receivers once Justin Jefferson comes back, maybe in Week 10 when Josh Dobbs makes his first start. That's going to be the best receiver he's played with by a long shot. Yeah. So he has that. And the Vikings defense is actually pretty good. They were much maligned last year, one of the worst units in the league, just absolutely, completely beatable. Brian Flores has changed the identity of this team, made them much, much more aggressive, going after the quarterback, blitzing more than anybody, and knowing when to rein it back, too, against the teams that you don't want to blitz as much against. He does scale it back a little bit. And because of that, the Vikings defense, I think, ranks in the top 10 in yards per play, 10 through 11, somewhere around there. They're having a very strong season overall defensively, and it's the type of unit that can carry you when you have good weapons on the offensive side and just a plug-and-play quarterback like Jacoby Brissett, to use your example, and actually have some success with the schedule. I think they still have to play the Bears twice, if I'm not mistaken, and they have some winnable games down the stretch, and so we'll see if they can get the 9 or 10 wins and get to the playoffs.
And on top of that, I mean, since we're talking about this Vikings team, there's a plethora of, I'd say, fantasy football implications with these wide receivers and these tight ends. Obviously, T.J. Hawkinson's been a little bit beat up because of the amount of play that he's seen. But, I mean, on the other side, I mean, you're missing Justin Jefferson. You still got K.J. Osborne as well as the other young, talented guy over there, Jordan Addison. Kind of just talk about, are these guys going to see a similar type of productivity, or is it really just on Josh Dobbs? What type of passer can he truly be with those types of players?
Yeah, I don't think they will, fantasy-wise, because the coaching staff probably isn't going to let him throw as much as they did Kirk Cousins, who they had complete faith in. Mm-hmm. So, they'll probably want to run the ball more than they have in the past, even though that's not their strength, just so that Josh Dobbs isn't having to go out there and have 40 passes a game and put it all on his arm, especially early. Yep. If he develops into the guy that they can trust down the stretch, maybe they give him a little more. So you're probably not going to see the volume from a lot of those guys. The one that I would expect you would is Justin Jefferson when he's healthy, because there's no reason Dobbs shouldn't just lock onto him. Justin Jefferson, no matter how many people are covering him, is always open. So you just throw it to him, he goes and gets the ball, and that's your security blanket. And then the rest of the offense can kind of figure it out on their own. But I don't know. There's going to be huge fantasy days moving forward for guys like Hawkinson and Jordan Addison.
Okay, and then moving over to a little bit of this AFC team, kind of looking at the Bengals mainly, and especially the 49ers in the NFC. They're having a lot of problems, 3 losses in a row. It's just looking like everything's kind of going the opposite way for the San Francisco 49ers. But the Bengals, on the other hand, on that opposite train, just kind of talk about these two teams and really what's clicking for the Bengals and what's going bad for the 49ers.
Yeah, well, when I do my spread power ratings every week at Sportsline, when we're trying to figure out what the spread should be each game, coming out of the Bengals bye, it was hard to assess them. You're like, if you think that Joe Burrow is now completely healthy, this was one of the best teams in the league last year. They should probably be a top 5 team in everybody's power ratings. But that's not the team they'd shown. They were 32nd in yards per play heading into the bye. So you have to strike that balance of, do I put them halfway up where I think they should be, kind of put them in that mid-tier range of the Jaguars, or do I go full hog and put them all the way up there? I went mid-tier. It still made them a good value. I still took them on Sportsline plus 5.5 last week once Brock Purdy was ruled in, and Joe Burrow was proven completely back, just completely dominated what we think is a pretty good defense there. And so I think you have to consider the Bengals, like we did toward late last season, as a Super Bowl contender at this point among those. The Bills, maybe not quite to the Chiefs level yet, because I have some questions about that defense, but right up there. And then San Francisco, I think it's people consider Christian McCaffrey the MVP of that offense, but it's really Trent Williams. And once he got hurt a few weeks ago, came out of that game and has missed the last couple of weeks, that offense just can't function because Brock Purdy can't stay upright, and he's so worried about pressure.
No.
And he's not Tom Brady. He's not going to come in and be this overlooked quarterback that can be a future Hall of Famer, and I think people built him up a little bit too high based on what he did in such great situations with all the weapons around him and a great offensive line. Well, they lost Mike McGlinchey in the offseason at right tackle, so I was worried about this line for teams that had good defensive line depth, like Cleveland a few weeks back, that they could exploit that, the other holes on the line. And now that Trent Williams is out, it's just a complete, turnstile for a lot of this offense, and it can't function the way it wants to. So we'll see if they get the defensive act together with Chase Young. That's more the issue there, because they shouldn't be this bad defensively the last few weeks. But offensively, I think it really just takes Trent Williams getting healthy, and then they're able to do what they want to do offensively.
Yeah, and I bet the loss of Deebo Samuel is also taking its hits on that 49ers offense. But R.J. White on with us talking NFL going into this Week 9 bunch of matchups. And last team I kind of want to look at before we get you out of here, Washington Commanders. They played up against the Eagles. They were very good, and it's kind of a consistent thing. The Washington Commanders, whatever record they have, they're always able to kind of put up some points against the Eagles. But, this team looking like they were on an up and up. Obviously, their offense doing well. And speaking of defensive lines, their defensive line had 2 young studs with Sweat and Young. Well, now those guys are gone. Kind of just talk about where this team can go now.
Well, interestingly, the offense, it was a much different performance than that first time against the Eagles. I know the score kind of looked the same, but they had issues with sacks like they've had all year. Sam Howell holds the ball too long. He basically sacks himself in a lot of these times. He was on pace to be the most sacked quarterback ever over the David Carr in that first Texans year, I believe.
No.
Well, he only had one sack in this Eagles game against a very talented Eagles defensive front. So they figured it out. They did some different things in the offensive line. He got the ball out quicker. And if that's the offense they can be moving forward with the weapons they have, they can put up points. Now you look at the defensive line, you say, well, they lost two young studs on that line. It's not like the defense was playing very well. The pass defense is getting completely manhandled week in and week out. They couldn't stop anyone. They gave up 40 to the Bears a few weeks ago, if you remember, on primetime.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that losing those guys makes that much of a difference. It takes a pass defense that was very bad and keeps them very bad. So I don't know that it has a huge effect on their future moving forward. I still don't think it's a team that's a playoff team. I think their defensive situation is going to cost them wins, but the offense should be interesting if they can replicate what they did against the Eagles and keep Sam Howell upright and not taking that many sacks. But he's shown he can be a pretty effective passer, kind of against the depleted Eagles secondary, but it was still impressive what he did in that game as a passer. And if they can do that moving forward, maybe they can win some shootouts no matter how bad the defense is.
So now that not free agency, but now that the trade deadline is officially over, has there been any significant change in the R.J. White power rankings, or even though the trade deadline wasn't as eventful as last year, has what happened with the Commanders trading away two of their pieces, has there been any significant shift in the power rankings for you?
Yeah, I didn't really move anything based on the trade deadline. Like I said, the Washington defense is as bad as it was before those trades were made. The interesting thing is the Buffalo kind of snuck in under the deadline and traded for Rasul Douglas from Green Bay. They really needed some cornerback help after losing Tre'Davious White. Mm-hmm. And if you look at PFF, he actually has graded out over the season slightly better than Tre'Davious White in coverage. So it helps them out, kind of a little bit sneaky thing that nobody's really talking about, to be able to have that reliance on the back end rather than having to go to guys like Kaiir Elam, who they end up just being a healthy scratch. I think he's done there, a failure of a first-round pick a year ago, and guys they couldn't trust. Well, now once Douglas gets up to speed, he can have an impact here. So I'm not moving the ratings based on guys, trades like that, and really you need the impactful players like quarterbacks. But my ratings reflect only week to week. Mm-hmm. So my Vikings rating is very low for this week with Jaron Hall starting, but it's going to rebound a pretty decent amount once Josh Dobbs gets in there. So I think that was going to be the most impactful trade for the ratings, and the Vikings aren't a complete just scratch and either play against or avoid them type of team moving forward.
Exactly. Good stuff from R.J. White. Turns out we got to wait a little bit longer until the trade deadline actually makes an impact into the NFL. But R.J., let the people know where they can find you online and on socials.
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at RJWhite1. You can find me online at sportsline.com. All of my picks. I'm coming off a 9-0 against the spread week on Sportsline, 3-0 on player props, 14-4 overall. So it was a very good week, and we'll see if we can. A little bit of luck there, but we can see if we can replicate it and have another good week. I already have a handful of picks, 6 or 7 up against the spread. So you can go check those out at Sportsline.
Good stuff, RJ. Godspeed to you in those lines. We'll be keeping an eye on them as well. You have a nice little night, brother.
Thanks. Take care.
And when I say nice night is because there's some football going on. We got the Tennessee Titans versus the Steelers. Bandy, if you watched Joe Hunk last night,
there's one thing though about that Titans-Steelers game.
What?
It's on Prime Video.
Oh, well, it's always on Prime Video. It's Thursday Night Football. But if you watched Joe Hunk last night, you really hope that the Titans don't perform the way that Joe Hunk made them perform. It wasn't really all his fault, but golly, the Steelers got the upper hand on him in the gamer's zone. But, Bandy, we got to hop into a break. When we come back, I watched a movie last night, and I got to talk about it because it's ruined my childhood and, honestly, my manlyhood.
It was that bad?
It wasn't good. We'll talk about that later whenever we get back here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, though temperature's still going to be well below average. Highs only climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. Dropping into the mid and upper 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Friday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 60s. Many of us making a solid run at 70 degrees. Going to fall just shy. Dropping into the low 40s through the overnight, early Saturday morning. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We're talking about plenty of sunshine. Temperatures consistently climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. John Abraham, Cam Cool alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery. I love that song. It really just gets me in the mood to go fishing while it's like 34 degrees outside. But make sure you guys check us out over on WZZN TV on YouTube and at Twitch. And on top of that, 97.7 ESPN on Twitter. And Bandy, what's your handle on Twitter? What is that little handle you got?
Oh, at B Lowery 2016.
That's exactly what it is. And mine is CPT Cool 420. So now all of you know my birthday.
And we're all calling it Twitter. We're not calling it X.
I'm so sorry.
Nobody calls it X.
I didn't do that just to go against Elon Musk. Okay, I didn't do that to despite him. X just doesn't stick as well as Twitter. I'm keeping it as Twitter. But you can also call into the show 256-576 4?
97.7
is the number to hop in. And Bandy, last night, and I know, I see that you were clean-shaven now. Okay, it's a day late, but, it's fine.
I don't like it, Captain Cool.
It looks good. I didn't even notice it at first. I was like, oh, okay, it looks solid, dude. It's like with me, we look a little bit weird. Our lips look very strange.
I
but
look like I'm 17, dude.
You don't look like you're 17. Well, look, we're growing out of that. And plus,
I need the beard.
I see the stubble, okay? The stubble's it comes, and you know what? A lot of people like the stubble, all right, Bandy? So you're looking solid right now. But I watched a movie last night that absolutely ruined the way I think of the Spartans and all things Roman Empire. Now, the Spartans weren't hardly involved, but it was 300 Rise of an Empire. This is the sequel, and if you guys remember, this is the sequel to 300. I don't know if anybody actually watched this one. Only thing I really knew about this was a little bit of the, marketing I remember back in the day, and then on top of that, a smartphone game came out that I played a little bit of. But I finally got around to watching it, Bandy. Me and John sat through an hour and 43 minutes of a movie that totally forgot about everything the first movie did right. CG all over the place, okay? In the original 300, there was nonstop, it was nice, just realistic action. But this movie, the way that they did a lot of things, Bandy. I mean, what did you like about the first one, Bandy?
Okay, I don't really remember the first one that much, actually.
You remember badass fight scenes, though, right?
Oh, of course.
Really cool fight scenes. Everything looked super slick, very, it just went together well, and you had nothing to dislike about any of it, okay?
Yeah.
The beginning of this movie instantly just tells me, oh, well, you know what? Forget about those cool fight scenes you really liked about the first movie, and there's going to be CG blood going everywhere and a lot of just CG bodies getting thrown all over the place. And it was jarring, okay? It was jarring. And it already made me think, well, this is going to be a very long movie, because one of the main things why I liked the original 300 was because of those fight scenes being so cool, so seamless, and just, ending with a bang. These ones, on the other hand, were not like that. And they tried to throw in a dash of romance as well. I was able to call it out. And I didn't even know anything about what happens after the original 300. But all of these other guys from the Roman Empire, I forgot if they were Greeks or, something. I don't know. They just weren't Spartans. They ended up getting the Spartans' help at the end. But they all looked like grill master dads. You look back at the Spartans in 300.
Grill masters?
The guys in 300 were ripped, all right? And I think it's so inspirational to see those guys running around just at the size that they are. And it takes you a while to finally get back to those ripped dudes at the end of the movie. But the rest of this army at the beginning on boats and stuff like that, which, by the way, the whole movie's almost shot on boats, which is also very terrible because everything behind them is all CG, green screen, all that whatnot. Everybody, though, in the original army or in this normal army of these, sailors or whatever, they're just like architects, dads, just like farmers and all that stuff. So they all look very normal. So just looking at a bunch of dudes who look like they're really just trying to flex the entire time. And then you finally see a guy that's actually giant, and you're like, that's the guy. That's the guy all of these guys should be. But the movie just kind of fell flat, and it felt very long.
Okay, yeah. So I've never seen it. I've only seen the original 300.
I don't think a lot of people have seen it.
I'm just kind of scrolling through Letterboxd right now, looking at reviews, seeing what people are saying. Let's see. 1.5 stars. This whole thing feels like a video game cutscene.
It does. The blood is very, very jarring, I would say.
Only worth watching for the awesome Eva Green.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a very long review. I can't draw. No, really, I cannot draw. I know there are people who claim that anyone can learn how to draw. Not me. I have ideas, though. I am a fairly creative individual, but ask me to draw my ideas and you'll get crap. 300 Rise of an Empire is all of the above put to film.
Yeah. It falls flat, and I just the main thing is it forgets a lot of what the original movie had going for it, and then we just see a lot of teenagers, that are they're ripped teenagers, but they're they're younger and they have to go into the army because they don't have enough help. But
so what you're telling me is this is not Meet the Spartans.
No. This is
Have you ever seen Meet the Spartans?
I've seen a little bit of Meet the Spartans. Even Meet the Spartans has more jacked characters than this movie did. But I'll say this, it didn't feel right the whole way through. It felt like a parody of Meet the Spartans. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I give it a 5. The ending of the movie was pretty good, though, the later half of the movie. But then there was this romance that was thrown in. The main woman villain, who's Xerxes' sister or whatever like that, she ends up wanting to fall in love with one of her generals or something like that, who can be the mightiest hero. But turns out the mightiest hero is actually the general of the Romans, and the Romans and then there's a meetup, and then there's a bunch of weird stuff going on, and then they end up fighting to the death at the end. And that went all the romance just out the window. I would have liked a fairy tale ending, okay? You know, for the amount of crap that the movie put me through. But either way,
so I can just watch Hercules again instead of watching this, even though it's not Roman at all. That's Greek.
It's
but
all
it'd be an
part.
infinitely better experience than watching 300 Rise of an Empire.
Most definitely.
Okay.
Or you could just watch 300 4 more times, and you could be like, okay, yeah, this is all I need to see of this whole series right there. But either way, the Roman Empire is great. We always think about it at least once or twice a month. So, tell us if you're a part of that group, 256-5764.
97.7.
And if you guys have watched that movie, I mean, I'll just give you an applause for that, because I don't know many people who've watched Rise of an Empire, which very inspirational name, right? I mean, it's like every single smartphone game that comes out, since then was Rise of an Empire, Rise of the Empire, all that stuff. But we got to talk a little bit of sports, Bandy. Last night on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, the Texas Rangers won the World Series. I preferred to talk about 300 over that because it was just a shutout. 5-0, Texas Rangers able to finish off the Arizona Diamondbacks at their own home. And honestly, good for the Texas Rangers. This is what I've been waiting for all my life. I was originally a Texas Ranger back when I was 5 years old. And you know what? First World Series, pretty good. Feels pretty good to be like a low-key Texas Rangers fan. I'm not actually, though, but go Yankees either way. Again, we feel bad for Atlanta. It just hurts down below. It would have been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful game to see the Braves get to the World Series. But
yeah, kind of a sad part, too. I mean, hey, the Braves have already been projected to be the favorites for next year.
Yeah, of course.
They're already the running favorites.
Why not, man? It's like the Bruins.
Let's run it back.
Yeah.
That always seems to work out well when we go into the preseason and regular season as the World Series favorites.
Well, I mean, the Braves are a really good team. They just can't get it done in the playoffs. And I mean, this is only the last 2 years. The last 2 years.
We just need like two consistent starting pitchers, and that's it.
I think you guys.
The hitting is there.
You guys definitely have 2 to 3. It was the injuries that definitely took hold and got some of your guys out there. But it was a very upsetting season. But
that's all we needed.
I'll say that me as a Bruins fan, it happened to me. Bruins getting the President's Cup and then going and losing to the Florida Panthers, and now it happened to you guys going up against the Phillies. So we're all in this boat of emotion that we call sports fandom. So we enjoy it and we have a lot of fun with it. But we got to hop into a break, Bandy, because when we come back, we're going to be hopping into some wacky underdog picks. We'll be eyeballing for tomorrow, and if you guys want to call in a little bit early to get your picks in, feel free to. 256-5764
97.7
is the number to call in. And on top of that, Jonathan Liggett will be joining us in the final segment to talk a little bit of golf. Yeah, that's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. The best way to start betting smarter is to sign up for a free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe.
College football coming up on Saturday. Alabama home at Bryant-Denny Stadium as they take on LSU. The Crimson Tide are ranked 8th by the playoff committee at 7-1. They are 5-0 in the SEC. On top of the West Division, LSU a game back at 6-2 and 4-1. They are ranked 14th. Alabama a 3-point home favorite, minus 166 on the money line. The Tigers plus 138 with an over-under of 60.5. Auburn and Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. The Tigers a 12.5-point road favorite, minus 530. The Commodores plus 390, over-under 49.5. For vsin.com, I'm Tony Desiri, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns
concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
Here's Bobby White from Woody Anderson Ford on their service department.
President's Award winner 2 years in a row. That's only given to the top 10% of Ford dealers in customer satisfaction. So we're very proud of the service department. And our body shop. If you happen to get into an accident, which not a lot of people just want to go down and see a body shop, but if you get into an accident, award-winning body shop. We have state-of-the-art paint booths back there. They're waterborne paints that we use, friendly for the environment. We've got our production system, the way things are in and out. We have the fastest cycle rate in town of getting your vehicle in, getting your vehicle out, and assured that it's fixed right. We take pictures before it's wrecked, and not only after, but we take it as we're putting the parts on. All done to above industry standards. So I'm proud of our body shop too. Don't forget our parts department. So if you don't happen to need parts, performance parts, or just parts if you're a weekend mechanic.
Woody Anderson Ford, located at the corner of Jordan and Sparkman, as well as Hughes Road and Madison. You can also check out the great deals at WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Plenty of sunshine this afternoon, though temperature's still going to be well below average. Highs only climbing into the upper 50s and lower 60s. Dropping into the mid and upper 30s as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Friday afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 60s. Many of us making a solid run at 70 degrees. Going to fall just shy. Dropping into the low 40s through the overnight, early Saturday morning. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday afternoon. We're talking about plenty of sunshine. Temperatures consistently climbing into the upper 60s and lower 70s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I should pull up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 977 ESPN The Zone.
Themistocles. I didn't even talk about the scars, the makeup design in that 300 movie. Not the best either. I'm talking about the sequel, guys. Talk about the sequel. I love the original. Bandy, we got some underdog picks to talk about, and you guys can talk about them with us. 256-5764
97.7
is the number to call on and join into the show. Also, if you guys didn't know, this show is presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. Bandy, we got some interesting games going down in college football this week, okay? You know, obviously there's the big one that we're going to be talking about. It's going to be that LSU versus Bama matchup. We got an 8 going up against number 14. 6-2 LSU going up against a 7-1 Alabama. That's kind of not been looking like the Alabama we've seen in the past. But you know what? It's totally fine. We still have confidence in that coaching staff, as well as, hey, that defense is pretty solid as well. But right now, LSU is a 3-point underdog. And Bandy, who do we got on the Flow hotline right now?
So on the Flow hotline, we got Jason putting in his underdog pick. What's going on, Jason?
Oh, not much. Hey, I'm going to give you a pick before it goes down.
Okay. Same.
All right. Kansas State will take Texas out of their misery Saturday.
Okay. You're saying Kansas State's going to beat Texas at Texas?
Yep.
Okay, that's a 6-4, 6-2 Kansas State team going up against a 7-1 Texas team. I like the odds there. It's a 4-point underdog if you do hit, so that'll add on to your lead of 7.5. So we'll put you down for that one. I like that pick. It's an interesting one, but we'll be talking about a few more for anybody else to hop in. But good stuff, Jason.
Thanks.
Roll Tide. I forgot if Jason's one of those guys that is an Alabama fan, but I think we're all going to say Roll Tide either way. Kansas State versus Texas. It's going to be an interesting one. This Kansas State team is pretty much just as good as they've been for the last few years. This Texas team is the one that's a little bit back and forth. Of course, now they don't have their starting quarterback. This will be an interesting game that does make this line the way it is, and it also does lower the over-under, and now it's sitting at 49.5. But, of course, it's going to be a little bit closer without Quinn Ewers playing. But, Bandy, another game I'm wanting to look at is that UCLA versus Arizona game, okay? This one's going to be nice, okay? You got a new quarterback. Well, I would say new quarterback just because Arizona didn't start with this guy in Noah Fafita. And he's been absolutely just getting all the eyeballs as of late just because of the way that he's been able to put up touchdowns with a lot of ease as a, freshman for this Arizona team. He's totally turned the Wildcats around, and they're going up against the 6-2 UCLA team, also in the Pac-12. And this is a UCLA team that needs to go to Arizona. And those Arizona fans can get rowdy when that team does start doing well. And it's going to be interesting to see. But right now, Arizona is a 3-point underdog against the 19th ranked UCLA Bruins. Also, another interesting matchup, Boston College going to Syracuse. Boston College is 5-3. The amount of crap that people have talked about Boston College throughout this year has been quite interesting to say the least, because this is a Boston College team that's been able to hold some squads to a pretty good margin. One of those squads was Florida State early in the season. We thought this was just a random fluke. Kind of, at times, we see that it is. But at the same time, we also look at the Syracuse team, and we are definitely eyeballing Boston College as a little bit of a favorite, even though they're a 3-point underdog against the Syracuse team that started off the season with 4 wins and now has 4 losses as well. So it's a very back-and-forth Syracuse team, and this might be some easy underdog pick points for you guys to take home for that Gunner's Landing prize at the end of the season. And then the Gamecocks go up against the Gamecocks. So old-fashioned, I'm not going to say it, Bandy. I'm not going to say it. But we got Jacksonville State going up against South Carolina. Ooh, who thought this would be a close one?
Look, you got a cocktail party going on.
Yeah, we got a cocktail party going on. We can say that at least. But Jacksonville State been doing quite big things in their first year in the Conference USA, but they're still 15.5-point underdogs against South Carolina. Now, if you guys thought I was disrespecting South Carolina before by saying, oh, they got blown out by, certain SEC teams, now is when I'm kind of disrespecting the team, because I honestly think this game might be a little bit closer than even this line says, this spread says, okay? I know Jacksonville State's going to South Carolina. I know that South Carolina's probably paying Jacksonville State, $1.5 million to play them. But again, if this one does hit, 15.5 points will get you the lead just like that. Even with Jason's new pick that he just put down with Kansas State beating Texas. I can't wait to see it. I want to see if Jacksonville State's able to actually play up against some big-time competition like South Carolina with that explosive offense, but not so explosive defense, Bandy. It's going to be fun to see, and you know what? Alabama might have another amazing team on their hands. Very excited to see it.
You know what? You just gave me an idea with how you worded that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to introduce a parlay mechanic into our underdog picks?
Danny's always wanted to throw something interesting in.
I want to throw something interesting in, but I kind of like the way this works.
Okay.
You can do up to 2 games.
All right.
Which is what a parlay is, 2 or more. But we'll cap it at 2 right now. If you get both underdogs, no matter how low they are, what you pick, if you get both, when you get both of their total points. So you put like a 3-point underdog and a 2-point underdog. Both of them win, you get 5.
But if only one of them wins,
you get none.
You get 0.
You get 0.
It's not a bad idea. We might implement that, but we'll make up our mind by Friday, okay?
Like a double or nothing, a parlay
yeah,
mechanic.
I don't mind that. Especially this late in the season now. We did start a little bit later with the wacky underdog picks in the first place, but you know what? I like that. I like that mind you got over there, Bandy Man. Another matchup I'll be looking at is Notre Dame at Clemson. Now, it's Notre Dame going to Clemson, so this is what makes it interesting. It honestly shouldn't be the way it is, but right now Clemson is a 3-point underdog in this matchup. This is a 4-4 Clemson team on the edge of extinction, I would say. And with Notre Dame coming to town, I think they're just going to end up embarrassing them. But Clemson, again, has shown a little sign of life earlier on in the season against said Florida State team. And honestly might have a chance at upsetting the Irish. And that's, again, a 3-point underdog they are. Arizona State versus Utah. It's only because it's Pac-12 and all that football can be very close, especially because Utah is coming off that big-time loss to Oregon. The highs might be at an all-time low right now, okay? I'll say that. Arizona State has challenged some teams, but they still are 2-6, not doing too well of the season. They are 11-point underdogs, and they're going up against the Utah team that is 6-2 on the season, but has lost some bad games whenever they do lose those games against probably some teams they should win. I don't know if they should have or could have beaten an Oregon team with Bo Nix being as hot as he is at the moment. That's for dang sure, all right? Mizzou versus Georgia. Bandy, I'm watching this game.
It's a 15-point underdog.
All the way through. I'm going to watch this game.
I am too.
The only reason Mizzou is a 15-point underdog is because this is a totally lopsided matchup. It should never be this close. But Mizzou has been surprising us all season long. This is a 7-1 Mizzou team.
Again, a team that has consistently played up to their competition.
No. And this is...
when they've needed to.
This is going to be a more interesting matchup.
In 2 games they've had.
Than the Florida matchup. Georgia going up against Florida in that cocktail party. We thought it was going to be a lot closer than that. Well, no, it wasn't. Graham Mertz, you're doing fine. But the rest of that Florida team is not going to be able to do much against the powerhouse that is Georgia. Now, Missouri. What do I think Missouri's going to be able to do? I think they're going to be able to put up some more points. I think their defense is going to be able to put up a little bit more. And also, on top of that, they're going to be getting to Carson Beck, making sure he throws a little bit of that odd ball, okay? He might not have had his best game against Florida, but the consistency he's thrown, and for the yards that he's thrown, the average being at like 10.5 a pass, it's the best he's done all season. And now there's a lot more eyes on Carson Beck to be shown as that quarterback that can really finish out a season with this team, even though they're facing adversity without having their star player, and that's Brock Bowers. But Missouri still has their star players. And you know what? When it comes down to the SEC passer rating, you look at the top 3, Jaden Daniels is number 1. What's behind him? Carson Beck. Who's behind him? Brady Cook. Of course it's Brady Cook. These guys have some big-time yards on the season, and they're very consistent players. And although Carson Beck and Jaden Daniels are in a completion league of their own, Brady Cook's just barely behind those guys with a 69.8 completion rating. So, Brady Cook, make a name for yourself. Get those balls out quick. Score some touchdowns. I would love to see a nice little upset, especially when it's a 15-point upset. So please, somebody, put this one in as your wacky underdog pick. That's just my suggestion. Another one to watch, Washington versus USC. USC's had some problems as of late. They've had some big-time problems. A lot of those come from the defense. We've been waiting for it to happen. Caleb Williams is doing fine. Of course, he's had a little bit of stuttering in his last few games, but he's still doing fine. It's that defense that was going to always come back and bite them, because Hugh Freeze... Lincoln Riley. Sorry, I got mixed up with those two.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley, he forgot that, when you set up a top-tier football team, especially a USC football team, you're supposed to have a defense to account for those high-powered Pac-12 offenses.
I don't think anybody in the Pac-12 got that memo.
Nope. Well, Utah. Even though Utah got shut out in their last game against Oregon. That still hurts. And then James Madison at Georgia State. Why not? James Madison at Georgia State. We'll throw that one in there. Georgia State can do it. 5.5-point underdog right there. You guys get 5.5 points towards that Gunners Linning prize. Again, you guys call in either today at the end of the show or tomorrow, and you'll be able to get your votes in, and we'll be able to talk about it next week with a little bit more passion. But, Bandy, we got to hop to a break. When we come back, Jonathan Liggett's going to close out this show with us here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The
state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan@danaldridgelaw.com. Dan@danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Corralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day, Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at $5. Corralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Hello and welcome back in, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery here on a cold, I almost said wacky Wednesday, thirsty Thursday here in No Man's Land. We've had a lot of fun so far. We talked with RJ White about some NFL matchups. We got in our wacky underdog picks, and why not? I did a little bit of a movie review halfway through the show, but now we got one Mr. Jonathan Liggett from Cherokee Ridge Country Club on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. John, people are still golfing in this weather?
Unfortunately, yes. I don't know how they do it, but they do it, okay? Yeah. They're grinders. I get it, but it is freezing outside these days.
Yeah, and kind of just talk about the adjustments real quick to just start off this show interview with you. Kind of talk about the adjustments that a lot of golfers need to make or take into account whenever it comes to playing in, 40 to 30 degree weather.
So first thing you got to do is you got to get out there and you got to play. Okay, you got to experience it. Okay, You got to get out there. If you're a grinder, I used to be on the range all the time in 30, 40 degree weather. You got to get used to it. You got to get used to the cold, because if you can't get used to the cold, well, you probably shouldn't play golf. Okay, but you got to get out there, and some main adjustments when it comes to being cold is you got to understand the ball's not going to go as far. It's not hot outside. The ball's not compressing as much. You're not going to get as much power from your body. You're stiff. So you got to understand you're going to hit the ball as far. So you need to be able to, get in your mind that you can choke down on a club, swing a little easier, and it'll go a little bit farther than the distance with that. And then the second thing is if it's cold, make sure you stretch, make sure you warm up. You don't want to get out there and swing the first swing, you just stiff, pull a muscle in your back, and then you're gone after the season. Yeah. So when it comes to cold, you really just have to just think about all the little analytic things. You got to take care of yourself. So you got to make sure you're hydrated, you're stretching, and you're not trying to swing too hard out there.
Yeah, cold weather, it's a bust. Yeah, some things we should honestly take into account when we're playing Connect Bowling, honestly, because I'm really feeling it now. Bandy, by the way, you need to experience that. John is really good at it, and he's been able to shut me out a few times in a row.
I don't think you want that smoke. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was pretty good at a Wii bowling.
Okay.
Connect Bowling, anything like it, I think I can handle it.
Bandy, you got to come over. All right, just come over afterwards. We'll play a game.
I'm fine with that.
Continuing on with this PGA tournament that's going on right now, the championship going on. It's the Worldwide Technology Championship. And looking at these golfers, there's none that I can really say that I know, but I know you probably know a little bit more when it comes down to them. So who are you eyeballing in this one?
Well, there's three people right now that I want to take a look at. And the first one I want to speak about, his name is Peter Quest. He's not a big he's a big name to me. He's not a big name out there just yet. He doesn't have his tour card, but from unofficial FedEx Cup points, my man has came to number 138 in the FedEx Cup points. And Peter Quest, this is a guy I played with 2.5 years ago in a Monday qualifier for a Corn Ferry event. And now I'm seeing this guy, track his way, trying to get on the PGA Tour. It's different, when you see a rookie and you're like, wow, this guy's cool. But when you actually play with someone and you get to know him and you know how they are as a person, and then you see him on the big stage, you're like, man, I really want to see this guy do good. So Peter Quest is my number one guy out there right now. He's a great guy, good golfer. I want to see him do good. He's on his chase for his tour card for these last three tournaments of this year to try to get into next year's signature event. So I want to see him do good, Mr. Peter Quest. And then we're also going to flop over to Mr. Michael Block. We know who Mr. Michael Block is. He's the PGA Tour pro who's has everyone's heart since the PGA Championship, finishing at tied 15th. Or tied 14th, I think it was, maybe tied 15th, and who's just coming into this week. I want to see him do good. I want to see him grab a PGA Tour event win. I want to see people go crazy for this guy. He's a hype man out there. Great lad. I want to see him do great. And the last guy we want to take a look at is the one and only Mr. Cameron Young. The guy can bomb the ball. He can hit it like no other. Ball striking is great, and yet this man does not have a PGA Tour win yet. Turned pro in 2022, has 8 top 5 finishes, 12 top 10 finishes, and is yet to secure a win on the PGA Tour. So he already is in set for the signature events for next year.
Nice.
However, Cameron Young is one of those guys that he's such a good player. It's sad to see him not secure a dub yet.
Understandable.
Just because he's such a good player. So put him in the mix there. You could see him do good this week, especially since we're having at the one and only Tiger Woods design course, El Cardinal Golf Course at Diamante Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
You're good,
it's
John.
It's the first year being hosted there. So it's kind of hard to say what this course is going to hold for these players, but there are a couple things you can see coming from this course.
Yep.
Is the first.
Yep. All right. Good stuff, Jonathan Liggett. I could have gave him a little bit of a timer. I also wanted to know a little bit about his opinions on Rise of the Empire, but it's okay, because we'll be back in 22 hours here on the Morning Blitz. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and